Hi guys, welcome back. New year, new round of layoffs for people. Yeesh.
My company laid me off on Tuesday.
Unfortunately, your role is being impacted by that. You will be laid off effective today.
Truth be told, I've been applying to jobs for a while now because I kind of saw this coming. Obviously, I was right. And so it's not totally accurate because I'm not counting those jobs. However, we're going to start counting today with a job I just applied to right now. Ta-da!
If you're currently unemployed and looking for a position, let us know down below. Unless it's embarrassing, then I don't blame you. It says you get laid off a week before Christmas. Ah, that is the absolute worst. Poor thing.
A lot of big corporations in America are no longer hiring American people for American jobs. Instead, they are outsourcing them to countries like India, Pakistan, Philippines, Poland, because it is a lot cheaper to hire people from there. Now, before we start to get mad about people from other countries taking our job, let's come to terms with this very important fact that's honestly causing the downturn of America. And that is our hyper-individualistic and hyper-capitalistic culture that is honestly not seen in other countries. Typically, other countries are very community-based, whereas people live together, they know each other, they know of their families, they actually really care about each other. And when there comes a time of crisis, they reach out and they step in to help you. However, in America, and especially American corporate culture, there is not a culture of people helping each other. Your biggest competitor is not another customer or another client or another business taking your job. It's your coworker. No one is preying on your downfall more than your coworker in a corporate America job, because corporate culture is set up and designed to have us everyday people fight with each other over scraps of paper. Meanwhile, the execs and the CEOs are getting paid top dollar and they are continuing to make more and more money, leading to them having this crazy wealth gap that we now see between the ordinary people versus the high level exec people. And I think
What she said there is all true. I agree with so much of it. Really great with the way she said it. What bothers me is that when people do get laid off, all the other coworkers just almost act like that person never existed. It's really creepy. You should try to be friends with your coworkers, but I understand what she's saying. Your biggest competition is the guy sitting next to you at work.
Hey there.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good.
Good,
You're
good.
fired.
Yeah, I've been on back-to-back calls for budget and going over some new revamped scorecards for the team. So
Okay.
I appreciate you jumping on last minute though.
Of course.
Yeah. So I wanted to connect with you. So number one, I wanted to say how much, well, as I've been getting up to speed with collections, how much I appreciate you just continuing to do what you know to do, continuing to own it. And as I get more up to speed with collections, you've not only revamped the process and helped it to become more centralized, but also creating those SOPs. Those are critical. We have to have those milestones and set processes. And it looks like you were instrumental in creating, I would venture to guess, most of it, if not all of it. So that has been incredibly helpful to have as a resource. But as we're looking at our collections process going forward, what we've decided to do is bring collections back to the branch level. And so what that means is we're actually going to be winding down our engagement with you so that way we can have the branches own the collections piece.
Could you imagine if your significant other broke up an engagement with you like that? So we're going to be winding down our engagement with you as we move forward without you. Oh my God, what a horrible way. And then here's the crazy thing. This video, it's not just 1 minute. It's 10 minutes long. It was the slowest firing ever.
My husband was laid off exactly 1 month ago today, and we are a one-income family. Now that we are officially into January, I can actually talk about it. But when I had mentioned we didn't have a savings account, it really upset people. So I just wanted to explain it a little bit. First, we did have a savings account, but my brother lived here with us. And when he moved out in April, we had to take over all of the rent here, which was never planned on. And that took a toll on us as a one-income family and took up our savings account. My husband and I both didn't grow up with money, so we didn't have good money management skills. So when everyone questions why we didn't have a savings account, I just question why you're not able to understand that not everyone comes from that kind of background. Obviously, I want what's best for my kids, so I do have stuff set up for them. But as for us, we really just do what we can. And in this economy, I'm just grateful because my husband did get severance and he did get paid for the duration of December. So it was basically like a paid vacation. And he does start work again tomorrow. It was supposed to be Monday, but we had a storm here. And I'm going to keep working on my bakery business and offering babysitting. We will one day find success. Hopefully.
So here's the cool thing. Husband got right back to work. That's a blessing. They obviously are rather poor right now, but they should learn from this. And then in the future, if her business does take off, they can start saving money. You got to learn from your mistakes.
The first time I found a new company, changed industries. I started in marketing analytics. I really liked this company because they had a really good work-life balance. I liked my coworkers. It was hybrid. Office was like 30 minutes away, so it wasn't too bad, but they were pretty relaxed about like what time you could leave so you could beat traffic. Our busy season had ended. We had gotten to be like super, super slow, and there was rumor that the company was getting bought out. Nobody really knew how much that would really affect anyone. Like, we didn't know if the office location was changing. I didn't really think much would change at all, to be honest. And then I ended up getting a call that I was losing my job. They were like, you can still work for a month. They let me keep the equipment. At this point, with it being my second layoff, like, I don't know what I'm going to do. It's going to be really hard to recover from this.
So would you guys want to work an extra month, or would you just kind of take off, or would you have to play it by ear based on how much money you had saved up? I would have a real hard time wanting to work there for one more month, knowing that it was for naught. But if you got to pay the bills, you've got to pay the bills.
I got fired today, and
Okay.
usually I'm not the type of person to want to put my worst moments on the internet. I feel like that's kind of cringe.
But
I am sitting in a Hobby Lobby parking lot, and it's literally January 2nd. I haven't made any goals or resolutions for the year, so I feel like now would be the best time to reevaluate my life, see what is working and what's clearly not working. And I think that maybe journaling and documenting it is the right way to go.
So a couple things to note. This wasn't a layoff. This was completely unexpected. I just started this job 2 months ago, and the reason that they gave me was that it just wasn't a great fit. I say all that to say that honestly, I agree with them. Like, I didn't enjoy this job. It's just something that I needed, but I'm trying to remain positive, and I think that this is going to be a great solution. Like, it's only the second day out of the year. It can only get up from here.
Okay, so the Bible says to write it down, make it plain, and that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to write down a prayer for the Lord, and I know that He's able to do exceedingly and abundantly above all I could ever ask or think. So we're going to use this journal to document just the progress and just how great God is. Like, I just know that this is only temporary. Like, I am going to find a job, and a job.
she is going to find the job. And if you're looking for a job, you will too. Every time you get fired or let go, a lot of times something bigger and better pops up. So stay positive.
2024 was a hard year for me. Maybe one of the worst years of my life. And I've been just trudging through. You know, I lost my job early in the year, and I was just starting to get things back together. Got a roommate. As soon as I got a roommate, my second job dropped all my hours because there's just nothing available in winter. And, coming into 2025, I was like, maybe, I'm not going to say it out loud, but maybe things are about to start looking up for me.
They are.
Maybe this is going to be a better year. And then on the second, I learned that my main job is closing. So that's cool. I'm really excited about that. And I was thinking, maybe I should just double down on social media. Maybe by some stroke of luck, maybe I could make something happen with that. And then I remember TikTok is also going away. I think on the same day my store closes.
Laid off from work in mid-2024. Been in the corporate world for about 40 years and was laid off mid-24. I am 61 years old. Held really high positions in corporations and yeah, downsizing is the reason. That really means you're laid off, and we're not bringing you back because we're going to pay somebody straight out of college about a third of what we were paying you. So
Has that been happening to you? Do you have any friends or family members that were let go and replaced by somebody that was working for half the price? There's a lot of people that say this happens to them, and I don't know how you recover from that. You could apply for hundreds of jobs. You're probably going to get one of them. The chance of them paying you what you were making, probably pretty low.
good luck, so to speak. So put in hundreds of applications and done multiple interviews, both remote Zoom interviews as well as in person here in Arizona, and just nothing seems to catch. I don't think they want to bring on a senior citizen, so to speak. I don't know. But nonetheless, I am trying to learn TikTok. I'd like to become an influencer, a great creator, share some of my incredible sales experience, expertise with folks out there that may be just starting out, or also become a TikTok shop affiliate. I actually buy several products off of TikTok, and I've had great success with probably 90% of them. So
Well, let's wish him well. I don't know if TikTok's going to be here for very much longer. I have a feeling it will, though. Fingers crossed, obviously. But again, he's going to have a hard time replacing that income via a job.
Just a piece of advice. If you were let go, fired, laid off, what have you, don't be upset. I know it's hard and times are tough with inflation, but just understand that when one door closes, another one is going to open. It's
Yeah, it's the apartment complex telling you you've been evicted.
okay to feel hurt, mad, sad, whatever emotions you have going on right now. Go ahead and let it all out. And I'm here to listen to you. I'm here to hear you out, but we're going to get over that quickly, and we're going to find a new opportunity, whatever it may be, whether it's being an entrepreneur or working for another company. Don't limit yourself. Just because you don't know a certain skill set doesn't mean that you can't learn it. You can if you want to. Don't be upset that you lost a job or you were let go or you were fired. There's nothing to be embarrassed or ashamed about, and keep going. Don't give up.
God, that sounds so scary. I agree with her, but God, that is scary. If you're unemployed right now, I wish you the best. If you have a little nugget, see if there's some extra skills you can pick up.
So, update on that job that I interviewed almost a week ago for. I didn't get it. Or I didn't make it to the second round. And I emailed their HR back to ask, like, what was their reasoning as to why I didn't get it, and could they provide me with feedback so I can improve for my next interview. And as per usual, ghosted. The job market is still shit in 2025. All I want to do is get another job, be able to pay my motherfucking bills, but nobody wants to let me do that. No one will give me a chance.
I feel for her. She does deserve a chance, but here's the thing. If you're in an interview process, don't tell them that all you want to do is pay your MF and bills. And believe me when I tell you, some people say that.
I replied to this comment and was like, I don't need to spiral, I'm solid. Which
Okay, the comment says it's okay to spiral and not be okay. It's a big life change. It's a huge rejection. Allow yourself to feel, then move on.
I genuinely felt in the moment, and then it hit me like a ton of bricks that I lost my job, that I have to start all over again. And I know I can do it. I've done it before, and I'll do it again. But like, I didn't want to have to. It sucks. Especially starting off the new year like this. Like, I was so excited to go into 2025 strong and just like get shit done. I mean, and now I have no choice but to do it. So I guess I'm getting what I asked for, but like, I didn't want it to be something where like my back was against the wall. So I wanted to do it out of passion and enjoyment, not survival. Grief hits in waves, and I'm gonna be fine, but
She's not going to be fine, and neither are you. Get your resume made. Okay, this one says it's the second day of 2025 and I lost my job.
You know, it's not your fault.
It is your fault. What did you do? Be honest. It was her fault, guys. You know she did something.
I was just laid off. This is actually the first time I've ever been laid off, so I don't really know what to even do or how to process anything. I just dropped off my laptop. It sucks the most because I seriously was only at this company for 2 months. I literally got this job in October and loved every single second of it. Unfortunately, the company was acquired and a lot of us were let go. Nothing you can do about it, but it definitely sucks. I have no idea what I want to do. I don't know if I want to even keep working for a company or what. I got my real estate license back in early October. I'm like, maybe I should just pursue that. But I also really liked the idea of having like a stable income with a job. I'm also getting married this year and have lots of expenses, so
Make sure you marry a man with money. Guys, this is such a bummer. I feel for these people, especially the young people, because sometimes they buy a home, right? And they're reliant on both people's incomes. And all of a sudden, one of you loses the income, and the other one all of a sudden is ready to divorce you and throw you out the door. Damn it.
Ever heard of having a blessing in disguise? Well, listen up.
Tell me.
In 2025, there are going to be 85 million people that are going to be losing their jobs. And I feel so freaking horrible for those people. But maybe it's a blessing. Maybe it's a blessing and it's a sign that you should just not worry about it because it's inevitable. It's going to happen anyway, right? So why not learn the skills of digital marketing and improve your situation so that when the following year comes around, you don't have to worry about losing your job.
Hey.
You can actually work from anywhere, have an uncapped income, and be able to spend more time with your family because that is exactly what digital marketing has done for me. I've learned the skills and it's allowed.
She's getting a little too salesman-y on us. Guys, I understand that losing your job can be horrible. There is a chance it's going to lead to a bright future, but there's a chance that it's going to lead to more horrible. So if you have a job, try to keep the job until the job market gets a little better, which might not be for a long time. So stay loyal to your company and pray that they stay loyal to you because deep down we know they won't. But I will. Go get your shoes. Venters, let's go for a walk. Well, I hope you're having a good day, Venters. How are you? This weather right now is absolutely beautiful. Looks like it might rain. If you were to see this same weather, this cloudy, dreary day in California, you might be looking at the Palisades fire. I just watched a video where they showed people literally being asked by the fire department to exit their vehicles, which you think is something they would never recommend, but apparently their vehicles were getting to the point where it was just a traffic situation while the flames were coming to their house. I've never been in the Palisades area, but I noticed that once or twice a year, it seems like California has these situations where the flames literally come up to the houses, and of course some people lose their homes. Very unfortunate. Could you imagine having to run from your home and you can't even take your car? And even if you could take your car, could you imagine the horrible situation where as the flames are coming closer, you have to decide what of your heirlooms you're going to actually keep in your vehicle and run off with? God, how do you make decisions like that? And there's always somebody out there that seems to have, animals. You can take the dog, you can take the cat, you can even take multiple pets with you, but there does come a point where it's really hard to get your horses out of there. It's really hard to get your animals out of there if you have a ton. So again, if you're a cat lady, don't live in the Palisades. Oh my God, how dangerous is that? I was able to kind of see what happened. The vantage point of the newscast was at Sunset Boulevard and the PCH Highway. I believe PCH stands for the Pacific Coast Highway. The wildfires were intense. The fire department, once again, asking people to actually stop and get out of their cars and walk away from the flames, which just seems crappy. You're already going to potentially lose your home, all your property and personal, mementos that you've saved through the years. And now on top of it, you got to leave your car there. Absolute nightmare situation. Now imagine going through that and then you've got a news reporter saying, "Hey, do you mind if I ask you a question real quick?" "Yeah, I really do. I'm losing everything. Do you mind?" God, what a nightmare. Kind of makes you wonder, what would you do if all of a sudden your world was just flip-flopped overnight? These people a week or so ago probably figured that this was going to be another beautiful holiday season and a really happy start to 2025, and they probably didn't have anything like this in their mind. Now, as the flames come up higher, people are probably thinking, "Oh my God, am I going to be one of the unlucky ones who loses their homes?" You guys have been walking with me for about 300 days now. Give yourself a round of applause, Venters. Good job. But not only have you guys been walking with me that time, but I think during that whole 300 days, it probably only rained, maybe once or twice here in Phoenix, at least during my walks. Now, sometimes I walked and it would sprinkle or rain a little bit later, but that just goes to show you guys that in your state where it rains once every couple of weeks, sometimes here in Phoenix, you can go long periods of time without getting a single drop of water. Oh. By the way, yesterday I went up to Planet Fitness and they were shut down. Look at this guy going super fast. They were shut down and the water, I guess, flooded the Planet Fitness. God, that guy was going fast. I had to run out of the way. I think he was going fast on purpose to see if he could make me run. I'm not stupid enough to see if he'll hit me. Some people are. Guys, let's go over some of these comments that they had. And if you have some comments, if you've ever been involved in a fire situation where you had to run from your home, or if you ever had a situation where friends or family members did, maybe share down below. If you are one of these folks that's recently lost your home to fire, I feel for you. That's got to be one of the toughest things in the world to go through. Your home slowly but surely becomes like a family member once you settle down. And what I mean by that is some people move every 2 or 3 years. They look at their home as just a place where they sleep at night. Other people have been connected to their home for decades, and sometimes it's even 3rd and 4th generation at a home. Gosh, those are the worst ones to lose, I would imagine. Frankov 81 says, Paradise, California campfire. I know people who had to grab their kids out of their car and run down the Skyway towards Chico Valley. It's very traumatic. I feel for those people. Frankov, I feel for those people too. That is traumatic. How do you explain that to the little ones? The little ones grow up and all they know is this life where they have their nice home, and then all of a sudden it's all burnt to the ground, burnt to a crisp. At Jim Festa says, now you know why insurance companies are reluctant to sell homeowners insurance in California. Here's where I'm a little disillusioned about insurance. I was always under the impression that because we have natural disasters, because we have house fires and certain things that happen to our property, it's smart to have insurance. I was not under the impression that insurance companies go absolutely out of their way to try to be profitable. You think insurance is something people need and want to have so that they don't have to go through these catastrophes alone. And it seems to me like the only time insurance wants to take your money is when they're pretty darn sure that they're not going to have to give you anything back in return for it. Just seems absolutely unbelievable. All these things that I grew up thinking this is what makes America great, all of a sudden, after a while, you have to shake your head and say, you know what? This is kind of a scam. If you're going to be an insurance company and the only thing you think about is how you can get out of claims, maybe you should get out of the insurance company business. And then health insurance. I've been watching these videos where people have all these horrible diseases, and then the health insurance goes out of their way to deny the claims. Maybe that's why all these CEOs of companies are supposedly afraid and gonna go hide underground or whatever. Maybe it's because deep down they know what they're doing is really lame. By the way, whenever you see somebody and they're ultra rich, I don't know about you, but there's always a piece of me that wonders, how the heck did they get that rich? Did they do something dastardly, or did they earn it the good way? The truth is, it's hard to get ultra rich the good, smart way. Very hard. As a matter of fact, have you guys ever heard this one? They say that if your parents are ultra rich and they leave you some money when they pass, that there's like a 40% chance that by the time your kids are born, all that money will be gone. I don't know how it works out that way, but apparently even when you have a family that's ultra rich, it's really hard for the kids and the grandkids to keep that going. You would think, being rich, that they're gonna go to the best schools and they're gonna get the best connections in the professional world. And I'm sure for some people it does work out that way. But it sounds like there's a lot of people that probably had really well-to-do grandparents, but yet they're poor as all heck. Okay, so this one kind of reminds me of the Maui fires. If you guys remember the Maui fires a while back, this one is from somebody named Robin X1C. Robin X1C says, Jesus, I hope this wasn't intentional. I wonder how many people won't own their land afterwards. Follow the money. God, I hope this isn't intentional either. You want to know something though? If it is intentional, I don't think it's people trying to steal their property. I think it's probably cigarette smokers, and they just choose to, let their cigarette go onto the dry grass, or, the dry tinder, so to speak. I think that's what happens. One of the things that scares me about all the potential terror cells that we have in this country is a lot of times we think of them going to a mall or a church or a public get-together and shooting everybody, right? I think 9 out of 10 of us picture those type of attacks, and those are scary, don't get me wrong. But I picture people, once again, just going to the middle of the woods, lighting a match, and just doing their damage that way. Because if you can damage people's livelihoods, you can damage their homes, you can damage their state, and then if you multiply that by hundreds of people doing it all around the country, all of a sudden you can literally set America on fire. And I could see some of these bad apples out there doing just that. So here's my horrible question for you, venters. If you were a terrorista, if you were a terrorist, if you put your mind into their mind, do you think that you would be one of those that would be looking to do as much damage to people? Or would you potentially go to a place like, the forested areas of the state and just simply light a match? Seems to me like you could do that and probably get away with it. At Spiritualpreneur instead of entrepreneur. Spiritualpreneur says, don't leave your car to burn. No. So Spiritualpreneur, that's what I was talking about earlier. The fire department was literally asking people on this broadcast, get out of your car, walk to safety. Your safety is worth so much more than your car. And it's just weird because I would imagine most people would be thinking that the safest place to be would be inside your car. At least that's what I would think. But again, if your car is stuck in a traffic jam because everybody wants to get out of there but can't, what else can you do? You gotta get away from there, even if it means doing so on foot. This is the one part of life where you really can't beat money. Imagine if your house, all your property,
including your car, goes up in flames. I don't know about you, but I guess one nice thing would be you got your wallet in your pants, you can go to your bank, and who knows, maybe you've been smart with your money, and maybe you've got a couple $100,000 just sitting there in your bank, so you don't have to necessarily ask anybody for help. You just rent an apartment, you do whatever you have to do. Hopefully your insurance claim ends up paying for your loss. This is probably one where the insurances are gonna probably pay 60 or 70 cents on the dollar. I don't know too much about, catastrophic insurance claims, but if you have a $5 million home, do you guys think they're gonna write you a check for $5 million? Or would it be one of those things where maybe they write you a 60% value, so here's your $3 million? If you guys know, let me know. I wouldn't be surprised if some insurances have a cap, right? Where they'll cover you 100% until they hit this cap of 150,000 or something crazy. And you know how a lot of times people are when it comes to their homeowner's insurance. They just go with whatever they go with, trying to get the best bang for their buck. I mean, this is one of those times where you probably wish that you didn't go cheap. By the way, how many times do we as people screw ourselves by going cheap? I remember one time I had to take my air conditioning to get fixed, and I think I told you guys this. I went to a place called Sheldon's Auto, and it was literally this, it looked like a mini junkyard in the middle of this neighborhood not too far from here. And this guy was like a friend of the family's. And so I'm thinking, oh my God, this guy's gonna give me a good deal. I'm gonna get my air conditioning fixed and the whole 9 yards. He ended up using used parts, and my air conditioning, which he charged me $800. It felt like an air conditioning that didn't even have cold Freon coming out of it. It felt like it had an old man that was just trying to blow cool air on you like this. I mean, it sucked. And I'll never forget the look on the guy's face when I go, John, come out with me to the damn car. I want you to feel this air conditioning, because he was trying to convince me that it felt ice cold. And you guys know as well as I do, ice cold is where you put your hand in front of the AC, and before you know it, you're feeling cold air, not cool air, not, 60-degree air or whatever the heck it was. It felt like 72-degree air was blowing out of my AC, and it's like, Jesus, can I get my $800 back? What do you mean you're using salvaged parts? It was just one of those nightmares. And that's why I always recommend, there's people out there that'll say, don't go to the dealership. Don't go to Sun Devil Auto, right? Because there's places out there that'll rip you off. But I'm telling you, 9 times out of 10, if you go with the old friend of the family, you're already getting ripped off. I never trust people like that. You might say, Jesse, there's plenty of good personal mechanics, and you're probably right. But you want to know what happens to your personal mechanic when all of a sudden he's broke and he gets a little desperate? He looks at you and he says, I think I could potentially take advantage of this situation. Only the best of the best humans, even if they were broke and on their last dollar, wouldn't at least contemplate taking advantage of people. And it's because of that, I would rather just go, not necessarily to the dealership, but I'd rather go to Sun Devil Auto. That's where I go here in Phoenix. And by the way, for all I know, they could be ripping me off too, but you want to know something? When I get my car fixed there, whether it's the air conditioning or the transmission or whatever, it's fixed. I never have to go back 5 days later and say, what the hell, it's still doing the same thing. That never happens. But when you go to the friend of the family, that always happens. I bet you right now some of you guys are that friend of the family, but keep in mind, you might be that good guy that actually does what he says and fixes the problem at a really good price. This John guy from Sheldon Auto, what a joke. What a joke. And when you know your work is shoddy and you try to convince people, no, look it, I'm putting the thermometer up to your thing. What does it say? 82 degrees, John? Holy shit. By the way, those negative things, when that happened to me, to spend $800, something not really get fixed, and you're kind of asked out, those situations in life can really bring you down, especially when it's your last 800 bucks. What's really cool about those situations is they give you a good story that you can share with people from that point on. For example, there's going to be a time in the future where I have a buddy or a friend at work or someplace that's going to say, oh my goodness, my air conditioning went out. I have my friend Teddy, his uncle is a mechanic. I could probably take it over there. And you know what I tell those people? I wouldn't bother with that if I were you. Go to a real mechanic. Go to somebody that's ACE certified or whatever the hell they call it. Get your stuff done right. Something where it comes with a little bit of a warranty after. Because I'm telling you, there's so many people out there that have no problem taking your money and running. So I look at what happened to me as a positive now. I always have that story because I can't tell you how many people that have told me, don't go to the dealership, don't go to Sun Devil Auto, don't go to that place there at the corner that's been there forever. Go to my mechanic. My mechanic's the greatest guy in the world. And then you end up really being dissatisfied. By the way, those same people, they always have problems with their cars. It's almost like their mechanic is just good enough at temporarily fixing the problems. And by the way, if you do have a good mechanic, because my daughter and my son-in-law, they actually do have a friend that really does help them. So I mean, I know those people do exist. But if you were to ask me, why don't you take your car to your daughter's friends? No, thank you. No, thanks. Because you want to know something? If one of my friends ripped off one of my family members, I wouldn't want to be their friend anymore. And I'm not saying that their friend would rip me off. It's just one of those things that, could you imagine calling your daughter or your son-in-law and saying, hey, your friend ripped me off. I'd really like you to get him on the phone and take care of this. And you really end up putting them in a really bad situation. And that's why I always recommend to people, don't be the middleman. There's no need for you to be a middleman. If you have a job in sales, you're already the middleman. And you know as well as I do, in any type of sales job, you're going to have people that complain. You don't want to be that middleman in real life. Be that middleman in your job. Don't be that person in real life, because it's just not worth it. You're going to lose friends because you volunteered the neighborhood mechanic. Not worth it. Not worth it at all. If you're doing your New Year's resolution, Sean told me that most people quit their New Year's resolution about 9 or 10 days into it. So that means that if you started with us on the 1st, there's probably a good percentage of you guys that are really contemplating quitting. But you want to know something? This is what our exercise plan is. It's simply walking. If you walk each and every day, it really offsets all that sitting that you do while you work at your desk. If you have one of these jobs where you're outside working with your hands, you've been complaining about it forever, stop complaining about it. That outside job where you're getting fresh air and you're moving all around, that might be saving your life. Remember, one of the things that kills us is sitting down. They actually say that's the modern day cigarettes. Sitting down is just as bad as smoking. What they don't tell you is back in the day, people used to smoke and sit down, and they probably still lived longer than we do. Did you guys watch Jimmy Carter's funeral service today? When you live to be 100, imagine all the things you see. When you're 5 or 10 years old, you get ready to prepare for the Great Depression. You're seeing cars out, but it's not like it is now where everybody has one. There's probably 1 or 2 or 3 cars here and there, right? There's probably a lot of people with horses. That's kind of trippy. Nobody had cell phones, right? Heck, nobody even had computers. All of a sudden, when you get to 30, 40, and 50, back then, a lot of people perished in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. So imagine having a good percentage of all your friends perish by the time you were 50. Then as you progress forward into your 60s, 70s, and 80s, you start to see all these really nice, snazzy cars. You start to see the advent of computers and cell phones. You start to see planes go from having these propellers on the engines to all of a sudden they're jet engines. That is crazy. What a gift just to be able to see how the world progresses. I think that's neat. My grandma and Jimmy Carter pretty much lived at the exact same time. Same with Betty White and the Queen. All those people that live close to be 100, what a blessing. But here's the thing. I think I'd rather live to be 85 and healthy. Something happens to the human body in the 90s where it looks like it can barely move. That's why it's important that you don't stop. Who cares about New Year's resolutions? Let's walk together forever. It's as simple as putting your shoes on and getting out the door. And you're doing something for your future. You're going to be healthier during it so you can enjoy it more with your family. We'll see you tomorrow.